Good evening, Drew.
Drew has some big news. Drew has some big news. Drew has a big Drew has a big news. Yeah.
Okay. What's your big news, Drew?
All right, so I'm going to break it here. It will not be official until Monday when we normally launch, although it's President's Day on Monday.
It's all right. I'll release it on Monday.
Sweet. I have accepted a new role at my company.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, thank you. I am going to be a senior cloud solution architect now.
What does that mean?
Okay, so I'm going to try to explain this in pretty broad strokes because it's, one, probably really boring, and two, I just want to be careful about how I say this. So,
okay.
My job as of recording time is I'm a customer engineer, and I usually engage with people who have like support contracts with Microsoft, or maybe they're, want some specific training about a particular thing. And I come in sort of, I'm not the guy you call when it's on fire, but I'm also not on the pre-sales side of the house. My role is very much that of an unblocker, trusted advisor, educator, somebody you can rely on to help you with your thing. Now, a cloud solution architect role is a little bit further to the left and a little bit more pre-salesy, and it's more of a strategist, right? So you say, Drew, I want to move this app to the cloud, or Drew, I'm looking to move this particular workload to the cloud. Well, I help you sort of understand what that looks like and come up with potential solutions about here are the products and services you should be looking at, and here's why. So there's already a really cloud heavy component to my job. But this is like all in. And it's a very interesting role that I'm going to be taking because traditionally my expertise have been like in the data space. So data engineering, data storage, databases, non-relational stuff, data lakes, stuff like that. This particular role is going to have a much heavier infrastructure slant. So it's going to be, I already know enough about how to do some complex networking in the cloud, but there's going to be a lot more of that, a lot more of like high performance compute, more apps and services versus just data stuff. So it's going to be an interesting role. It's going to definitely challenge me a lot. I'm going to have an opportunity to stretch out and do like the entire picture versus just one little piece of it. So it's going to be pretty exciting.
Awesome. Congratulations, man.
Thanks, man. It's just weird. This is a role that I had applied for internally literally last year. But listen, you are a middle manager and you know what it takes to hire people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those gears turn slower than other times. So they can. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'll probably update my LinkedIn status and everything on Monday, and I don't know if I'll tweet about it. When I got my promotion, because I got promoted in role already once, I didn't really announce that too much, but this isn't necessarily a promotion in that like my pay isn't changing, like my level isn't changing. It's just different type of work that can open itself up to some pretty other rewarding opportunities later on.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Well, cool. Very cool.
Thanks, man. It's going to be exciting. Okay, so this is going to turn into the Paul, I don't want to spend money podcast.
I don't know why you're talking to me then.
Well, because listen, I think that a large part of our brand is we buy things so you don't have to.
We buy things because it fills the hole in our heart.
You're not wrong. But I've been really good. I've been a good boy.
Have you? Okay.
I've been a good boy who deserves good things.
You need a treat. Time for a treat.
It might be time. It might be time for a treat. So I have some. Okay. I have some treats that I really want you to talk me out of.
Okay.
I'm asking you to talk me out of. Please.
Okay.
Please.
I'll try.
All right.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
First up, we on this podcast have talked about my proclivity for plastic controllers. Yeah. Now, I may have even, I don't know if I have linked this particular product before, but Thrustmaster.
I have not seen this particular one before. No.
All right.
No. Yeah.
So I am a person who has enjoyed playing Flight Simulator. And I invested not a ton of money in my Flight Simulator setup. I have the yoke. I've got a throttle quadrant for making the plane go faster, go slow, but not go backwards.
Planes don't do that.
Yeah, planes don't.
Let some things really wrong.
Yeah. If your plane's going backwards, run if you can, or scream if you're trapped. But I haven't invested like a ton of money in my setup. But Thrustmaster, which is just a fantastic company name, if we're being honest.
They don't make what you think they make.
No. Wait.
I'm waiting.
Velvet Thruster. That makes what you think it is. Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna need a link in the notes for that one.
Well, ooh, they're very vascular. Here, it's gonna go. We're gonna put these in the show notes. Here. Yeah, look at that. Yep.
I love their branding.
Yeah. Get 15% off my first purchase. Why are they using Candy Crush icons for this?
Those are very, very good for them.
Why is there a screw protruding from it? Oh, that's for shower fun. You probably put that someplace where you want to yoink the boink. Holy fuck, $279.
These are high end.
That is way more expensive than my penis, and mine doesn't shake. Look at this.
Oh.
This went in a weird place. Oh my god, they're massive. There's a picture of a person holding them.
They're big.
Is this somebody's Pinterest? Why are there just pictures of like flowers?
It's Valentine's Day.
The use, I don't know if you got this pop up, but the use 15% off icon. Oh my god, hold on, stop everything. How do I make this? The fucking thing is flipping through the screens. Did you see the one advertisement, Thrust and Roses limited edition bundle?
No. My ad blocker must have ate it.
Red Hot Valentine's sex toy bundle, Thrust and Roses.
Oh, okay, I see that. Okay.
Best dildo suction vibrator Valentine's gift bundle, Thrust and Roses. This season we have curated the perfect pleasure pairing. Okay. With a realistic thrusting dildo and Sir Pulse suction vibrator. Sir Pulse. This is a vibrator.
This is a Wendy's.
Sir, this is a vibrator. Wow. All right, stop. Okay, whatever. Okay, sorry. I unintentional sex podcast. Accidental sex podcast. Okay. So Thrustmaster, the toys for boys.
They make joysticks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, artisanal thrusting vibrators.
Oh, okay, anyhow, Thrustmaster.
Yeah, so they announced a few months ago that they were going to make a limited edition yoke pack that pretty closely resembled what you would find in a Boeing. It's either a 777 or a Boeing 787. I remember
787 according to the website.
787. Okay, so it is like as close to what you would find if you were in the cockpit of a 787. Which, given our current climate, I don't think that's where you're supposed to be. So I don't think you'll ever see one of those in person. But it is designed to look like that. It has like official Boeing branding and partnership with it. They announced this thing a few months ago, and I just made like a quick mental note. And if I were a user of Instapaper, I would probably have put it in there, but I'm not, and I didn't. Okay. But earlier this week, I saw that it had officially launched, and it's a really nice flight sim yoke. And what's nice about it is, one, my current yoke is very plasticky and very chintzy. I don't feel like it's going to break, but you really have to clamp it to the desk or else it's going to shimmy around a little bit. Like you can manhandle that thing pretty easily. And I have a thrust quadrant that has 3 levers on it, and a decent amount of buttons. And I even purchased a like autopilot type thing for it, but I use it and I still play Flight Simulator from time to time when the mood strikes, and it's fun. Like I was learning how to do all the autopilot stuff. And again, I already talked about all that, but this company released this thing and it is pretty impressive for a number of reasons. One, it just looks, first of all, it's very well constructed. Like I've read reviews of it. Like there's not just plastic on this thing. Like there's a fair amount of like metal, and it's 2 pieces. It's a yoke that clamps to your desk, and then there is also a throttle quadrant that is customizable. So like you could have like an auto or speed brake or an auto brake. You can have multiple thrust controls. And there's a bunch of selectors for autopilot sort of built into it and everything. And anyway, it's just a really nice thing. And I knew that it was going to be a couple $100, but it is $500. And last I checked, it was available on Amazon.
Ooh.
I actually added it to my wish list because I'm under this illusion that people will buy me things from my wish list. Yeah, I could have it Saturday, February 19th if I were brave enough to buy it right this minute. Paul, I don't need it.
Then don't buy it. Ta-da!
We did it.
Okay. So let's rationalize this.
Okay.
How many hours per month do you think you spend playing Flight Simulator? Estimate high. It's fine. Estimate high.
0 hours.
Zero.
Well, just because I've been busy in other games right now, but like back in January, I played it for, I don't know, probably 10 to 15 hours that month because I do little flights, right? I hop on, I do a little flight, and I zoom around for a little bit, and then I unhook everything, and it goes away for a while. And I'm getting to the point where I will want to bust this back out at some point. But
okay. Now, do you think that if you bought this, either A, the number of hours you play would increase, or the hours you play would be more enjoyable?
I think both of those things would be true because I would probably force myself to use it because I just bought it.
Do you think that would, like, that's something you would always come back to, or you'll use it for like 3 weeks and then it'll just be something you own and not something you use?
I think there's a high probability of that because like I said, my current, I literally just turned my head 45 degrees and lo and behold, there's my current setup sitting on the shelf behind me. So you're right. So you're making a lot of sense.
Okay. So if you buy this, you have to be ready to sell it when you're done.
Okay.
Right. So you buy it now for $500. You use it for a month, and then maybe you sell it. Maybe they're all sold out at that point. You can make your money back or a little bit more, or maybe you sell it for $400, and then you spend $100 for a month worth of enjoyment. But
well, I'll tell you, bud. I'll tell you what's really wild about this.
Okay.
A year ago, it was really hard to find any like flight simulator equipment.
Well, I remember, the Flight Simulator came out, and then the market, like the demand just skyrocketed.
Yeah. And this has been in stock all week, which honestly, I'm a little surprised. I'm actually a little surprised. Now, like it's in stock on Amazon. Let's see if it's in stock at the Thrustmaster website. Yeah, TCA Yoke Pack Boeing Edition, add to cart.
Yep.
Yeah, it's absolutely in stock. That's wild to me because 6-8 months ago, I think when we last had this discussion, none of this stuff was in stock. None of it was. Yeah, man, you're making a lot of sense. I don't know. Like it looks so fucking cool. It looks so cool.
I mean, I
oh wow, Micro Center sells it. I'm fucked. Like I could go to Micro Center and buy it tomorrow if I wanted to. I'm so fucked.
I mean, I'm of two minds here, Drew. I'm of two minds.
All right.
One, I don't understand flight simulators. To me, it feels boring. I don't understand spending a lot of money on to buy pieces of plastic that look like the airplane to play the game that doesn't look fun to me.
Yeah.
But okay. So that's me. Like, I would never, like, this wouldn't even remotely cross my like field of vision, like, at all. On the other hand, I am pro. Hey, you just got some good news. Buy yourself a treat, Drew. I am very much pro treat yourself as I look around my room at everything that I spent money on. Yeah, I think you should buy it, Drew. I think you should buy it.
You're not helping.
Well, Drew.
Yeah, but
you deserve a treat.
I deserve it. I deserve a treat. Maybe
I'll
go to Micro Center tomorrow. Maybe I'll go to Micro Center tomorrow and do that.
Yeah, you can always look at it and see if it meets your, is it looking nice in person as it does, or in the box as it does on the website? And
yeah,
I mean, it's got the Boeing logo on it.
Yeah,
2 places. Boeing.
It says Boeing on it.
Boeing, and it's got a lever that says flap.
Flaps. Well, no, that's hold on.
It says flap. I'm looking at the picture. It says flap.
So hold on. That whole thing is customizable. It doesn't have to say flap.
I see that. Yes, and I see pictures where it's on the left side versus the right side. Mm-hmm. I see one where it says speed brake. Mm-hmm. But it says flap. I mean, where else are you going to get a lever that says flap on it?
Flap. I got my flap. Nowhere.
Flap.
Well,
flap.
Okay, but so you're right. I deserve a treat. I'm a good boy who does good things. I deserve a good treat.
Yes, you deserve a treat.
But we need to talk about the next topic before we.
Okay. So when I first saw this, I'm like, are those two things related?
No.
And then I'm starting to realize that no, they're not related.
They're not. They're not related. Okay.
They're not related.
So I'm a good boy. I'm a good boy. I'm a good boy who deserves good treats. Mm-hmm. I have a wild hair up my ass to upgrade my computer.
Okay. I'm back.
Okay. All right. So okay. Mm-hmm. So so part of the reason I haven't spent $500 on that is I might spend $1,400 or $1,500 or even $1,600 on a computer upgrade. So let me back up.
Mm-hmm.
We have had a lot of fun about Drew's Computer Corner on this particular podcast.
Yes.
Bad decisions have been made in the name of computing on this podcast. Again, plenty of best of archive material there if you want to go look at it. Okay, but to take a little more of a serious track about this right now. So, I upgraded my AMD processor to the latest AMD 5 series, the 5000 series processor. I want to say it was probably not. It definitely wasn't last Christmas. It was like after Christmas 2021. So it's been over a year that I've had like my current computing setup, because I got my graphics card on election day of 2020, and then I got my 5900 and 5950X AMD processor after the first of the year, because it was really hard to get them. It was really hard to get anything back then, but I got them, and like I've been rocking this setup pretty consistently since then, and it's been fine. It's perfectly fine. Like, those are still really good processors. I got no problems. Nothing's broken. I didn't put any water in anything. Like, everything's good. Like, everything is fine.
But it's a year old, therefore garbage.
There is that.
I was being sarcastic.
Well, I'm not. Now, part of the reason that I went AMD is that Intel at the time was sucking a lot of wind, and AMD has really won me over from a processor perspective. I don't necessarily have a proclivity for their graphics components, but I think they make really, really good processor architecture. And At the time, it was like, I'm going to upgrade to this AMD chipset, and I'm going to get PCIe 4 storage, and I'm going to get all these other cool things. And it's been a good experience. I haven't had any problems as long as there's not water in my computer. Like, my computer runs great. It runs relatively cool. I have no problems. Intel then came around actually later in 2021. They finally launched a series of processors that were designed to effectively compete with what AMD did, because AMD sort of took the performance crown. AMD's market share surged because Intel was basically releasing the same things over and over again. And part of that was they were in the process of sort of developing their next architecture. And I don't know how much of this you've read about, but the latest processor family from Intel is the Alder Lake, is the sort of the code name of the processor family. Have you read about this particular architecture, Paul?
This totally passed me by. I have no idea. I know nothing about the Alder Lake chipset.
Well, here's the interesting thing. In the newest, so let me put it to you this way. They have adopted a very similar approach to computing that Apple has with their M1 Max. In that, on the silicon, there is a mix of what they call their Golden Cove P cores and their high efficiency E cores. So,
okay.
Yeah, so like the i9, for example, I believe is a 16 core processor. Hang on.
Here, I'll put a Tom's Hardware link in there. They have a nice chart.
Yeah, so like the Intel Alder Lake i9 is a 16 core.
8 and 8. Yeah.
Right, but instead of it being a high core count CPU like my AMD is, where they all are capable or theoretically capable of boosting to a certain thing, Intel has decided to say, we're going to cut that in half. We're going to give you 8 performance cores that are designed to run intense processing applications like video encoding, gaming, 3D modeling, whatever, right? And then the efficiency cores are for things like your background tasks and things like that. It's designed to sort of bring the architecture to what they call the big little, right? Which is what Apple does.
Right.
And at the time, I sort of sat back and thought, okay, that's cool. And that seems to be what people were doing. And I think AMD is also looking at maybe doing something similar, because it sort of makes sense, right? Because you can have these golden cores that do the hard work, and your power draw isn't quite as much, I don't think. And there's different levels of cache involved, and it's a really interesting design. But what really interested me at the time was, number one, Windows 11 hadn't, I don't think, fully launched yet. And to get the most out of these particular CPUs, the general consensus is you need to be on Windows 11 with the latest OS, and like it needs to be like the OS needs to be aware about it, and applications to an extent also have to be aware of it. So like things like older applications that were written in things like .NET 3 might not run correctly or run it all on this architecture, because they might try to run on a core that isn't going to work. You know what I mean? So like there was the potential for like some weird compatibility stuff, and I just looked at it and said, not yet. I looked at it from a distance and thought, that's cool. I like that. I want to know more about that, but I'm going to wait and kind of see how it goes. And of course, there was like a few little rocky bumps with like the launch of the product and everything. There's other reasons that I didn't necessarily want to jump right to it, because it's an entirely new socket set. It's designed to take advantage of DDR5 instead of DDR4 memory. So like to get into this, right, you're going to have to go motherboard, you're going to have to go memory, you're going to have to go processor, and probably a new cooler that has the right mount for it. And when you really start like listing this stuff out, it becomes like an expensive proposition. But I've sort of sat from the sidelines and I thought to myself, okay, I'm into this. Like I'm into this, and I kind of want to know more about this. So I've been sort of toying with the idea of jumping back to Intel. Now, part of me, right, let's put the money part aside for a minute, because like all of these components are expensive. The processor itself isn't any more expensive than what I would spend on an AMD processor. Like they're very competitively priced for the market segment, right? But The motherboards are going to be anywhere from like $300 to $500. The memory is also like DDR5 memory is very expensive. Like for 32 gigs of RAM, it's like $500 right now because those prices are just high. So they're like the money component, one thing, but yeah, it's interesting to me. And I would like to try it. Right. I have this curiosity and honestly, like as finicky as it can be sometimes, like actually like swapping out hardware components is eerily calming. And I kind of like doing it. I know that sounds weird for the sole proprietor of Drew's Computer Corner to say out loud, but I like that. And I'm really interested in trying it. But again, I'm going to be in for roughly $1,600-ish when it's all said and done to make that switch. Now, if I make that switch, right, I'll have, like right now I have two computers in my house. Like one is my gaming computer, one is my streaming and coding machine. Like I could probably sell one of those, right? Because I don't need three. I probably need two. I don't need three. So I could like sell and recoup some of this, but that's not a good enough reason. You know what I mean? So I'm just sort of toying with the idea of doing this. And again, I'm sort of like in that I really feel like I need a treat. And we've sort of really jumped a few orders of magnitude of expense from my flight stick to this.
Yes. On the other hand, I mean, the flight stick, the yoke is for one game. This is for all games.
Right.
All games. Everything you do would run on this. Now, do you think it is significantly more horsepower than what you have now?
Significantly more, no. So I'm glad you brought that up, right? So let's go take a look. Like Tom's Hardware, right? It's a great website. They have a really interesting approach to their recommendations, because if all I was doing was gaming, I don't need the highest high-end Intel processor. Like the sweet spot for gaming is either a Ryzen 5 or a Core i5. Like those are the two, like the number 5 is right in the middle. And it's like, it's like the perfect processor if all you're doing is gaming. Now in their charts, they consider to be the best gaming processor to be the current generation Core i5. Now they have a benchmark chart where they sort of do an aggregate like mean, they call it a geo mean FPS, and the Intel Core i9 is currently beating out the Core i9 is at the top. The processor I have is right below that by like 5 frames, right? So it's not a huge jump. It's not a huge jump at all. And again, this matters a hell of a lot less at higher resolutions that I play at than lower resolutions. So quite frankly, I could go to a Ryzen 7 5800X, or I could go to a Core i7 if I really didn't want to spend the money for the Core i9, but then I'll just hate myself because I don't have the Core i9. So it's like, yeah. So are we talking about, so interestingly enough, right? I'll put this link in the chat, but like if you're looking at the higher resolutions, the Intel ones seem to hold a more consistent edge. I game at technically I think it's 1440p. But it's more than that. So it starts to hold a little more of a lead over the AMDs. But again, not statistically significant. Like we're talking an average of 4 or 5 frames tops.
Okay, so that's right. This is best CPU for the money.
For the monies.
Oh, good for them.
Yep. And again, the one that I'm considering is number 3.
Right.
Is currently number 2. So best CPUs for 2022, the number 1 is the Core i5 12600K, which is the current generation. Reasons to avoid, platform pricing, yeah. And then Best overall CPU for gaming alternate pick is the 5600X. And then the number 2 is the Intel Core i9-12900K. Fast, it's basically said, it is technically, quote unquote, air quotes, the fastest gaming processor you can buy. DDR5, PCIe 5, single threaded performance is high. It is more overclockable, but then again, I don't necessarily push these things that high. So yeah, high performance value, best CPU for gaming alternate pick is the 5950X, which is not what I'm running right now. I'm running the 5900X, but I think my streaming machine has the 5950 in it right now, if I'm not mistaken. Best value overall CPU for gaming alternate pick is the 5900X. And it's weird because like a year ago, like AMD was just stomping the shit out of Intel. What I will say is this, is that when AMD sort of took over the performance crown from Intel last time, the margins between performance were much higher than like Intel's current lead over AMD. And this pendulum will swing back the other way. Don't get me wrong. But what's interesting is, whereas Intel has basically forced you into an entirely new platform, right? New motherboard, new memory, all that stuff. AMD has been pretty smart. If you're on, what is it? Whatever their current chipset is. Let me see if I can just get it here real quick. Yeah, their AM4 socket seems to be supported a hell of a lot more. So like if a year from now, or if the end of this year, AMD comes along and says, hey, here's the 7000 series, there is a better than average chance that the motherboard I currently have will support that new processor. And I won't have to go in a whole new ecosystem. So I don't know, man. Like, first of all, look, absolutely make no mistake. Huge privilege check to say, I'm just going to go invest in all this, right? But at the same time,
right.
Like I like this stuff. I would like to see what it's capable of. I don't know. That's just where my head's at. What do you think? Am I crazy? I'm crazy, right?
I mean, I'm not going to help you here, Drew. I get it. This is a big part of your identity, is
fair,
rocking the latest in PC gaming hardware. I think you'll, to me, I think if you're looking to, like, if you're going to buy yourself a treat, I think you should splurge and, build yourself a new computer.
You think
plus
so?
Plus, it's also great content for the show. So
it is. Yeah. As I would tell my lady friend, I need this for my work.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. I have a secret.
Okay.
I already bought this stuff. I haven't opened it yet. I was hoping you could talk me out of it, and I'll take it back tomorrow.
So you bought the new computer stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, Drew.
I haven't opened it yet, though. It doesn't count. I didn't open it yet.
Oh. So you have like new RAM, new motherboard, CPU just sitting all there ready to go?
Right behind me.
Well, you have the i9. I assume you bought the i9?
Yep, sure did.
Okay, yep.
Sure did.
I think you answered your own question, Drew.
I did, but man, like I have like a lot of buyer's remorse about it because I don't need it. I don't need it right now, right? And my thing is, like, I really told myself that after we bought our house, right, like I was going to be a good boy. Like I had to build my savings back up and everything, and like I've been sort of keeping track of my finances and my budget, and where we're at and the expenses that I've had at the new house and all the stuff I've had to buy. And like, I'm just looking at kind of where we're at, and I'm like, I'm doing okay. Like, I don't like, this is it. Like, even if I keep this stuff, like it's not going to overall hurt me. Right. I don't feel like it's irresponsible, but I can't help like feeling like it's irresponsible.
I get that.
Ugh. I'm the worst. I'm disgusting. I'm the worst. I'm like the worst person.
No. I mean, let's be honest. Like, this isn't going to break the bank. No one's going to miss a meal.
Hey, certainly not me. Have you seen me recently? I'm fat as fuck.
Oh,
All right.
no.
I'm done talking. I'm done talking. I've talked for 36 minutes, and we've basically discovered how terrible I am. Can we talk about vibrators? Let's talk about. No, I don't want to talk about vibrators. Let's talk about your stuff.
No, I don't have a lot here.
Help. Make content.
Drew, I think you should keep the computer stuff, and I think you should build it, and I think you should enjoy it. I think it would bring you lots of happiness, more than a $500 flight stick would.
That I agree with. I'll wait to get the flight stick. It's decided.
Okay.
It's
Ta-da!
decided.
I helped. I did not.
Did it.
I did not help you from spending $1,600.
Nope.
But I did help justify it. So I feel in some way I won. New topic.
Yep.
We talked a lot about Cyberpunk 2077.
Mm-hmm.
About how the game launched, how you mostly thought it was okay, and I disliked it. Well, hey, it's February 2022, and CD Projekt Red's back with the Cyberpunk 2077 apology tour, and version 1.5 is out, and it's the big release, Drew. It's the big one. It's the patch we've all been waiting for. Have you caught any of this at all?
I have seen it. I did not dig into it too much, but my question to you is this: did you finish it?
I finished it originally. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Remember. It was very fitting because the game was rolling credits and it crashed on me.
Oh,
right.
Right.
And I was
right.
like, fuck this game. Quit. Done. Now, I just spoiler. I guess not spoiler alert. The whole content. The reason why we're here, I have downloaded it and I have played it for like a couple of hours on my PlayStation 5, the 1.5 version, just because I wanted to see. I wanted to get look at some of the hype and see some of the big features. Okay. Some of the big features. They added. I guess for PC they improved ray tracing. For the next gen consoles they added it. This is a big big flagship feature. It's updated for the next gen console, so it runs natively on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S. Both of those consoles get a pair of modes. You get a ray tracing mode, which targets 30 frames a second. You get a performance mode, which does less ray tracing, but gets a smooth 60 frames per second on the consoles. I think that's a perfectly good trade-off.
Mm-hmm.
They improved cars, so cars now have a new kind of physics model. You can do burnouts. They're supposed to handle better. Same thing for like motorcycles. On the PlayStation 5, they added support for the new fancy controller, so like haptic feedbacks and all the DualSense stuff. And some quality of life stuff, like now you can actually change your appearance at a mirror. They added apartments. They added a whole bunch of improvements to AI and crowds, and added more people into the cities, and a whole bunch of new stuff. Fixed a whole bunch of bugs. Added a whole bunch of features. I did give this because I'm kind of in a limbo period, waiting until tomorrow when Horizon Forbidden West comes out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to finish Cyberpunk 2077, but I did download it and I did play like maybe 2.5, 3 hours, kind of played the beginning again. I am happy to report it did not crash on me once.
Okay.
It ran really well.
Good.
The game does look much nicer. You can tell like right away, like, oh yeah, like they definitely upped up the resolution and the frame rate. It does look better. I played on the performance mode, not the ray tracing mode, because I don't need ray tracing, and I've learned to like 60 frames a second. I know I'm a monster. The cars do feel better to drive. They added this weird thing I think it's a little too much. I think they need to tone down a little bit. But when you're driving, so the PlayStation 5 has those fancy force feedback triggers, right? The haptic triggers or whatever they call them. When the car shifts, it kind of like reduces the tension ever so slightly, so it feels like your finger is kind of like dipping into the controller and then getting pushed back out. It's a neat feeling, but it gets old real fast.
Okay.
I think they need to tie that down a little bit, but it's cool. Guns have a good, nice haptic feedback to them. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the game is still the same game. I'm not sure I'm super excited to really get back into it, but like, if you get into Night City, like, at least for me, granted, I played this on a PlayStation 5. It really was like the PS4 Pro version. There's more people on the streets. There's just, the city feels like it's more full. Like I said, it runs really good. I don't know whether it's going to be enough to get me back into like play the story over again. But if they would have released this when it came out, I may have enjoyed the game better. I don't know. Yeah.
So I saw this announcement and I didn't really read it. I sort of have it on my back burner that I would like to go back and play this game again and play it completely different than I played it, because I played like kind of a really combat heavy character. I might want to go back and do things a little differently and maybe romance some different people, stuff like that. The one thing I will say that I am happy to see that they fixed, hold on, I just lost it. Oh, I'm about halfway down in these patch notes.
It's lengthy patch notes.
I mean, there's a lot of meat in here. Right? There's a lot of meat in here. And the first thing I see under the weapons section is reworked throwing knives.
Yes. Yeah.
Throwing knives were really powerful in that game because you could take people down at a distance with them, but you literally had to carry like 12 knives in your inventory.
Now you throw them, they respawn, so you can keep throwing them back.
Yeah, it apparently there is a set cooldown, but if you walk over and pick them up, it resets the cooldown, which is good.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Good. I guess, I don't know. I feel like actually having throwing knives that have like ammo, like literally every other game does, might be better.
Yeah. They also redid like the perks, and they like added some new. They made more numbers that you can make go up. They split one number into two numbers. Where was that game? Hold on. I probably could search for this perks.
There were a lot of perks, and I think I can like count on one hand the number of them that were kind of useful. Yeah. Like there were some that gave you like extra combat damage, and the scaling on it was like super broken.
Yeah, we did all of that. They replaced evasion with mitigation chance and mitigation strength. Mm-hmm. And they go on to explain what that is. They rebalanced a lot of the mods. They made it so you can actually sell cyberware that you don't need.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, lots of just little quality in life and bug fixes and new features. I mean, they also like drop the base price of this game, I think, to like $30. Mm-hmm. And they're offering on the consoles like a trial, so you can like play it for free for 5 hours, which given all the bad press they've had, I think is probably a good, good token of good faith, right? A good token of good faith.
Yeah.
That's good English. It's a nice gesture, right? To say like, hey, you can download it and play it for free, and your saves will transfer over if you buy the full game.
The one thing that I did read is they've been talking about some DLC for this game, that they announced all this stuff and they still haven't announced like when the DLC is coming.
Yeah, it's got to be hard to prioritize the DLC when it's the game itself is just fundamentally borked on, at least on consoles. At least my playthrough was not good. I mean, I hope CD Projekt Red gets back on their feet. I hope, as someone who likes Cyberpunk, like the franchise in the tabletop RPG and, from our Talsorian games, I felt like the game was kind of like a black eye to them. Like they had all this like, hey, we're going to market really heavily in this new game that we came out with. And then, the press for the video game, the plan was to market the Cyberpunk Red, the new tabletop RPG, alongside the video game coming out. And then the video game kind of, was disappointed. Even if you had a good technical experience, I think it's hard to disagree with the fact that this game overpromised and underdelivered.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, but okay, just let's let you know that the bones are still there. The bones of this janky ass game. I thought it was funny. It did not crash, but I'm playing. I started over and I'm playing the first mission where you have to go and you slight spoilers for Cyberpunk. You have to go rescue the woman who's like in the chop shop kind of thing, right?
Right.
And you fight all those gangers. So there's that part where you kind of have to like go out into the patio, like go out to the patio, like this little balcony, and go around. And Jackie, the NPC companion you're with, he comes back in for the balcony, kind of turns the corner a little too hard, and clips through a bunch of lockers.
Outstanding.
And then the lockers I should have hit the record button. The lockers kind of like all opened and like stuff just spewed out of them. Like just this fireworks of garbage.
Wow.
Coming out of them. I'm like, there it is.
There it is. There it is.
There it is.
Wow.
So again, I don't know if I'll go back to it. I have, Horizon Forbidden West literally like playable in 2 hours. So
oh yeah. So it's funny, man. Like, again, the original, I think I mentioned this last time, like the original Horizon games didn't like cross my radar at all. So like I went back and like read a synopsis of the first game. Seems pretty cool.
There's a lot of like, I also watched a like, hey, get me caught up on, I lied. I went to Reddit and I read a Reddit thread about people arguing about which was the best YouTube video that explained the lore, so I could get caught up on for the to play the game. And what I watched was an 1.5 hour long video. And the best part about it, it wasn't until like literally the hour mark where the game started. The first like 2/3 of it was just, and this is how the world ended. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. It's a very complicated backstory.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind playing it. Knowing what I know now about the plot, I would be interesting to see how it controls. So Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition, I can get it on Steam. It's $50. But I'm not going to buy that right now because I've got the whole Destiny 2 thing.
Yeah, that's next week, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so pumped, man. I'm so pumped. I was actually playing that. I played it a little bit yesterday because they released like a new mission that sort of sets up what's going to happen in the expansion. This is not going to turn into a Destiny podcast, but it's, man, that game, man, it's one of those games where I feel like I could put it down for a month and come back and still be like into it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I my son has a lot of hours in that game. A lot of hours. It's what he goes back to constantly and keeps playing it. So it's definitely hooked him. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, shit. We've established that I'm garbage. But let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap this up. Hey, we're on the internet, doingtheirbest.com. Give us a like or some stars or some internet points. I don't know. You can find us on Twitter at doingbestpod. I'm on Twitter at Paul Baylor. And where can we find you, Drew?
Yeah, I'm on the internet on Twitter at Pittsburgh, PATTFURG.
All right. Awesome. Thanks again for listening, everybody. We appreciate you.